Sunita ma'am,
Yes,
so can we start with our sir?
but someone has to mute this.
Neha ma'am, you are the co-host now. I think you can mute.
Yes.
Yeah, we are live, ma'am.
वो आंखों में सपना, दिल में मुस्कान, हर दिन है उनके लिए एक नया इंद्रधनुषी अभियान। कुछ अलग है वो, कुछ खास है वो, हर पल में बसी है ईश्वर की छाव है वो जो कहते हैं तुम नहीं कर सकते, उसे देखो हर बार वो कुछ नया करता है, उसकी धड़कनें गाती है, जीवन में धारा है, वो कदम में विश्वास, हर लम्हे में आशीर्वाद और प्यार का सहारा। So with this beautiful Hindi poem, celebrating the unique beauty and strength of our special extra chromosome and their families. Hi, this is Dr. Neha Singh, Secretary AHA Raigarh and Editor IIP Raigarh. On behalf of both AHA and IIP Raigarh, I welcome all of you today on 21st March, observed as World Down Syndrome. This year, 2025, the theme is Improve Our Support System with the slogan Celebrating Abilities. So 21st of March being a very special day, great opportunity to spread the awareness. We wanted to do something special for our adolescent, youth and young adults having those extras. Our aim is to help them learn about their own unique skills, interests and abilities, strengthen their sense of confidence and self-esteem, also make connections with their peers, relationships and companionship, adjust in society, also empower themselves to become strong self-advocates. Myself and my co-host, who's treasurer of AHA Raigarh, Dr. Shilpa Nambiar, will be moderating today's talk and have with us two lovely ladies as our esteemed experts. So, Dr. Rupa, well, I welcome and thank both of you for accepting our invitation and joining us today. Shilpa, would you please introduce our experts of today?
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. So we are very happy that we have such an insightful for this insightful session today, and we have our experts who work very closely with children and adolescents of. So introducing our first expert, Dr. Shrupa Srinivasan. Ma'am is a developmental pediatrician and a senior director at Umid Child Development Center, Mumbai. Ma'am is the head of Early Child Development Center and Inclusivity in Umid Center. And our second expert is Ms. Tejal Shah, a visionary leader, proud mother of a beautiful child, 11-year-old beautiful daughter with Down syndrome, founder of Happiness is Khushi, a social enterprise to promote and empower neurodiversity.
Thank you, Shilpa. So, friends, before we start, I would love to invite both our presidents, Raigarh AHA, Dr. Sunita Ingle ma'am, and IIP Raigarh President, Dr. Vikas More, to say a few words to all of us. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Nia. That was a wonderful introduction and a lovely poem, I must say. So today being the World's Down Syndrome Day, we are meeting here today for a very important and a very interesting, I'm sure it'll be a very interesting discussion. So we have, as you have introduced our experts, I warmly welcome them. I welcome the moderators also, Neha and Shilpa. Good job. So I hope our guest of honor, Dr. Shekhar Dabadkar sir, also joins us soon. So we will have a very nice discussion. And since this year's theme is to improve our support system, which is especially more important for adolescents age group, I think it will be a very interesting discussion. So thank you, Nia. Over to you.
Yes, ma'am. Vikas, sir. Sir, please unmute. Yes.
Thank you, Neha, for having me here. First of all, I am really thankful to Dr. Rupa Srinivasan Madam and Sejal Shah Madam for accepting our invite for this special day. अभी जैसे नेहा ने बोला कि they are very special. Why special? Because I personally feel they don't need our sympathy. They need our responsibility. They need our responsibility. मुझे याद है कि there are some doctors, a few doctors who have worked under me, and they are rearing the Down child, and they really sacrifice their own career. So I will not, when this idea came in our mind that what can be done for the Down child when he grows up to stand on his own feet. But I will put it other way. What can be done for that poor mother who has sacrificed her career for that child? Because it is very easy to say a Down child uh, should be given rehabilitation, everything. But what about the mother who goes through that trauma? So this is a complete unit. A Down syndrome is not just a child, it is a complete family. So the whole family goes through the trauma, and as a society, we have certain responsibilities for this. So when I gone through the individualized education program being implemented in United States, it is quite interesting. And the kind of the support system they are having there is really inspiring, especially involving the healthcare providers, educators, therapists, family members is very important. In India, I'm really sometimes I feel so helpless to advise them where to go. So हम क्या करें? So there is an end road even for a pediatrician like me. So what to speak of a parent who feels so helpless. So I feel even as a pediatrician, I will get newer inputs. How can I help my Down patients to give them a better hope, a better future for their families? Thank you so much. Over to you, Nisha.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sunita ma'am and Dr. Vikas sir. I also want to thank our experts who have joined.
We
And
all know that when we talk about the social communication and like social.
okay, so today we will have a short presentation from Dr. Rupa ma'am and Dr. And Miss Sejal, and followed by panel discussion with both of our experts, and then open house. We would also like to acknowledge presence of Dr. Chitra Kulkarni ma'am. Ma'am has been past AHA president, AHA Raigarh president, and she will be, she is ex Maharashtra AHA president. So we would like to hear Chitra ma'am in the open house. Now I request Dr. Rupa ma'am to kindly share your presentation on the common queries regarding adolescent Down, which we get in our daily OPD practices. And I also request our attendees to send their questions and queries in the chat box. We will be taking them in the end of the session or in the open house. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Neha, and thank you, AHA Raigarh, for organizing this very, very timely event today. I'm not going to waste much time. I'm going to directly share screen because we have a lot of ground to cover today. And the context has been beautifully set by all of you. And I mean, it's the perfect setting to get started to talk about not just the World Down Syndrome Day, but also the theme for this year. So we have been talking about, I'm sorry, let's go back. We've been talking about the theme for this year, which is to create supportive systems. And often when we talk about supportive systems, or when we think about a theme like this, often we are thinking about it quite theoretically. And today, my endeavor over the next 15 minutes is also going to be to break down what we mean by these support systems. And to begin that, I'm sorry, I wanted to start at the beginning. There you go. So we're going to break down what improving support systems really means, and also look at a very simple and fun way to track how children are doing and what support systems they have access. So I'm going to play this video, which is quite self-explanatory. I'll let you enjoy that.
My name is Zenica Jukesia. I am a part-time model and a full-time baker, and I love dancing. First, I used to hate baking. Like, why am I dirtying my hands? It's so messy and dirty. But as soon as I came to Homebread by Kritika, I got so much attention. People see me at pop-ups and like, hey, this is Zenica. Let's take a selfie with her. And when they ask me, I feel really proud that I'm in my sister's brand, Homebread by Kritika, assisting her. I feel. And I can say, yes, please do take a selfie. I will be really happy with your autograph as well very soon. I want to see Zenica as an independent girl, does everything on her own, not giving up. I want to show my family that I can do a lot more than this. Down syndrome people are also have abilities and capabilities that they have a lot of potential.
Every parent, if they accept the child and they don't want to mold them the way they want to see them, the child will excel.
One voice can change the world.
Such a heartwarming video, isn't it? I'm sure, just like Neha, many of you had smiles across your faces as you were watching this video. But I'm sure there was also a small voice in your minds which was probably thinking how lucky Zenica is to have such a supportive family around her, to have access to all these resources, and look what's become possible for her because she has access to all of this. My point in showing this video was exactly that all of us are able to see and be inspired by what can be possible for our children when they have the right support systems around them. And over the course of the next few minutes, let's talk about what these support systems could be and how can every single child have access. So this is the WHO's framework for looking at any kind of chronic health condition or disability. It's called the International Classification of Functioning. It's been around for a while, where what WHO talks about over here is to look at a chronic condition or a disability, not just from a biological or a medical perspective, but also to look at how does it impact this person's activity, everyday activity. How does it impact what they're able to be part of in everyday life? For example, if somebody is unable to walk, how does that limit what kinds of activities they can be a part of? If they have difficulties learning, talking, how does it impair being part of social events, going to school, making friends, etc.? And simultaneously, how does the environment support their development? Does it act as a helper or does it hinder their development? Very often, many of these children and families are at the receiving end of stigma, which can have a hugely negative impact. And there can be millions of other negative environmental factors like that. And also, who is this person? What are they like temperamentally? Are they resilient? What is their outlook towards life? So all of this determines the journey of an individual with disability. Now, while that is a useful framework to have, it's not a very user-friendly one. And what you see on your screen is a far more fun, user-friendly way of looking at the experience of an individual with disability. This is called the 6F framework or the 6F words. So don't worry, we're not talking about swear words here. We're talking about words like fun, family, friends, function, fitness, and future. Something that each one of us value, something that each one of us takes for granted. But for children with disabilities, each of these words needs some effort behind it. And we're going to talk about what that effort looks like. So let's begin with the first F word, which is functioning. But even before we get to functioning, we need to ensure that the child has optimal health. And what are we talking about when we are saying optimal health in the adolescent age group? We're talking about regular growth monitoring using Down syndrome charts and BMI charts. We're talking about counseling them regarding diet, including adequate iron intake. All of you are familiar with managing obesity in children without disabilities. Some of the same principles apply to children with Down syndrome. The only thing to keep in mind is that they are way more vulnerable to it because of a multitude of factors, like their vulnerability to have hypothyroidism, their low tone, which makes them reluctant for physical activities, their leptin resistance, and also the mental health issues, which is their predisposition to having depression, which further has a downstream effect on their physical activity. So all of this needs to be looked at, and also the diet monitoring needs to start from very early on. Monitoring their CBC annually, looking at their iron profile, looking at annual thyroid function status, and making it more frequent if autoantibodies are positive. Annual audiological and vision checks. During adolescence is also the time when you can see onset of new behavioral patterns, again, screening for it. Sometimes screening for depression can involve just a simple 2-question checklist, which is the PHQ, and I'm happy to talk more about it in the Q&A section. So this is what your regular health surveillance looks like. And not to mention sleep. Sleep in many of these children is affected. And again, the causes are some of the same ones that we spoke about, the same culprits that we spoke about, which is obesity, the low tone, which itself can cause the sleep apnea. So it's important to monitor for all of this. Now, a child like Zenica may have had adequate access to healthcare, adequate access to this kind of surveillance. But what about other children? And this is where the government facility like the UDID card really comes in handy, because it gives children access to health-related services, education, accommodations with taxes, travel benefits, aids and appliances, and also in the future, and this is very important for adolescents, for parents to start planning for legal guardianship. Some of the benefits that one can avail of when they have a UDID card is they can make a Niramaya health insurance card, and that can give them access to reimbursements on all of these expenses that you see listed on your screen. Now, here's another way in which having a disability certificate or a UDID card can help children. And this is a video of a parent who talks about learning-related accommodations that her child needs.
स्कूल में वो पढ़ाई जैसे अभी 6 स्टैंडर्ड में है, तो स्कूल में जिस तरह से पढ़ाई होती है वो करता है, लेकिन इसका जो सीखने का तरीका है उसमें थोड़ा उसको ज़्यादातर फिल इन द ब्लैंक्स देते हैं टीचर, तो वो जो आंसर होता है उसको वो कॉपी कर लेता है, या ट्रू एंड जो सही और गलत जैसे सेंटेंस है तो वो कर लेता है अपने हिसाब से, तो वो उतना वो रीड करके और उसको अटेम्प्ट करता है। और गणित वगैरह में कैलकुलेटर देते हैं उसको, तो उसमें ये प्लस के सम्स हैं या माइनस के सम्स हैं या मल्टीप्लाई, ये सब भी वो धीरे धीरे से वो करता है। जैसे प्रांशु को शॉपिंग का लिस्ट बनाना बहुत पसंद है, मतलब हम नीचे जब जाते हैं शाम को तो उसको चाहिए कि मम्मा लिस्ट मुझे क्या क्या लाना है, तो मैं उसको बोलती हूँ लिख ले, तो अगर वो लिखना नहीं चाहता है अगर, तो हम उसको कहते हैं कि तुम टैब पे अपना लिस्ट बना लो।
So these are accommodations that not only are being used at home, but this child was going to a regular school at the time of shooting the video. And these very same accommodations were also being used in school. So children with Down syndrome, when you look at their cognitive profile, are likely to have mild to moderate intellectual disability. And which means that for many parents, when you talk about their hopes and dreams, very often most of the parents will talk about independence in everyday life. And as care providers for children with Downs, this is something that we can very easily tell parents that this is possible. This is something that we can work towards. Also, talking about reproductive health or managing menstrual cycle shouldn't be starting in the adolescent age group. It should be starting even earlier as part of the anticipatory guidance for these children. But in this age group, some of these conversations will intensify. Also, similarly, talking about personal safety, personal boundaries, sexuality. Again, this does not start one fine day when the child hits puberty, but starts from very early on, in fact, from early childhood. Happy to talk about some of the ways in which these topics can be introduced in the early years. Also, for parents, it's important for the providers to talk about what are meaningful practical literacy skills. What are the kind of literacy skills that children can use in everyday life? You saw the video over there about the ways in which the child was applying literacy and numeracy skills to everyday life, to shop, to make lists. And these are some examples, and these can be used to talk to parents about what needs more emphasis, what needs more attention. Talking about fitness, which is the second F word, again, while a regular physical activity regime is important, it's also important to talk to parents about some of the risks and to recommend avoiding the use of trampoline, especially in unsupervised settings, avoid participation in contact sports again, and also in special situations where children are into sports or we are talking about scenarios like Olympics, again, screening as far as the atlanto eggshell joint is necessary, and talking about that in anticipation is necessary. Moving on to the third, fourth, and fifth F words, these are fun, friends, and family. I'm going to again play a fun video for you.
I say he's smart, funny.
He can make you feel good about yourself when you're not feeling so good.
Disciplined and responsible.
Humorous and fun-loving boy.
Very funny.
We literally do one thing, and that's just talk.
Cracks a lot of jokes. Together we make them.
He loves cooking, he loves eating.
And we are also foodie too.
He makes pizza for me and I eat the pizza.
He has a plain pizza, seasoned tomato sauce, but I have exotic pizzas.
He's very, very sensitive.
He's so studious.
We love to draw, we love to read.
Well, I'm a relaxer. I've known Kian since
lower prep, so that's almost 12 years now.
So this is so rare. We take the existence of friends in our life for granted. And for many children with disabilities and their families, this can be such a huge achievement. This can be such a huge bonus to have in their life. And for many families, often there is no time for fun because all of their time gets used up in going from one therapy session to another, going from one school or tuition to the other just to keep up, just to try and keep up. And sometimes when you ask them, what do you do for fun or what does your child like to do for fun, parents are often stumped because there has simply been no time to think about this. And it is up to us as providers to bring these efforts back into their lives, to talk about these regularly, because at the end of the day, the quality of life really depends on these efforts, right? And we spoke earlier, Dr. Vikas spoke so poignantly earlier about caregiver mental health. I cannot agree more. None of the things that I spoke about in the previous slides would happen if caregiver mental health is affected. And we need to take care of caregivers as much as we take care of our children.
I see.
And the last effort today is future, where this is, of course, the right time, but sometimes these conversations can even begin earlier. To start talking about the family's hopes and dreams. What do they hope for their child? What do they see happening in the next 10 years? Typically, I start these conversations around the time the child is 9 to 10 years of age. And when families talk about independence at home, when they talk about the hope for a livelihood option, a vocation option, we start talking about how some small steps could be taken today to help them get to where they would like to be. And we suggest a few vocational training options, centers that offer these services. Families start doing recce's of these places just to get a sense of what's available out there. Parents may also ask you difficult questions of what after us. When faced with those questions, again, it's time to open up conversations about legal guardianship and who in the family or outside can be responsible when the parents are not around to help this individual with decision making and to support them. Along with the conversation about future, the conversation about financial planning also happens hand in hand. And sometimes we also offer parents resources to meet the right people to start thinking about how to plan for their child's finances in the future. And also, this might be a good time to start talking about who could be the adult physician towards the later half of adolescence, to start talking about who might be the right adult care physician for you to hand over care to, and to start talking to the family about the transition and also introducing them to the field. So I have added a few resources in case people are interested. Again, happy to talk about some of these and how we end up using some of these resources. There are also a couple of family resource options that I have put on the screen over here. But I'm sure we are going to hear more about this from Tejal. So I'm going to hand it back to Neha for the second question. Thank you so much for being a patient.
Thank you so much, Rupa ma'am, for a wonderful talk. The way WHO and ICF explains everything is excellent. Can we move on to our next talk? Sejal, can you please share your PPT?
Thank you, Dr. Shilpa, and a very big thank you to the entire IAP team of Riger to invite me and give me this opportunity to speak on my favorite topic on Down syndrome on a very special day, which is World Down Syndrome Day. It's absolutely a privilege. And thank you so much, Dr. Rupa. It was such an insightful presentation and the much needed information. I think you've covered everything which is needed for the upliftment of people with Down syndrome, for them to reach to their highest potential. So thank you so much for that a very comprehensive and insightful presentation. Thank you. And thank you, Dr. More, for reaching out, and really grateful for giving me this opportunity. And with that note, I will share my presentation. Just give me a second. Yeah. Is my presentation visible? Yes. Thank you. All right. So yes, that's my beautiful journey in the world of Down syndrome, and all about happiness and Khushi is what I'm going to talk about today. So yes, my journey started with my beautiful daughter Khushi. And she was born on 9th of November, and that was absolutely the happiest day of my life in 2013. Of course, after 21 days, I realized that when the doctor broke the news that she had Down syndrome, I was totally lost because nobody in the family had it. So I had no clue about the word. So as per all, any mom who would want the best for their child, I also started researching on the internet. I read a lot. I met a lot of people. And of course, I met a lot of parents. Luckily, I got a lot of references of parents who were blessed with people with Down syndrome. I spoke to them. Yeah, but still, I was wanting to know more. And that is how, luckily, I got the reference of Dr. Rekha Ramachandran, who is the president of Down Syndrome Federation of India. fondly call Rekhama. And because of her, I got a lot of hope and positivity. And she immediately connected me to the entire medical team when my daughter was just 1.5 months is when I approached her. And that is why I'm always grateful to Down Syndrome Federation of India for connecting me to the entire medical team, which is number one, because Down syndrome is nothing but medical. If the medical is, taken care of, everything else can be handled in a much better way. So I got it right in the beginning of, beginning of the time when my daughter was born. So yes, after that, I put my daughter into early intervention programs. Physiotherapy is number one to start off with, since we know that our children are generally having hypotonia, which is low muscle tone. So that was recommended. And immediately physiotherapy was started. And after that, of course, we started off with the therapy and occupational therapy. And of course, all the therapies related to what was needed was started off. But the most important part, which I was advised and I followed, was I did more of fun activities and interaction with peer group for my daughter rather than just focusing on therapies. I think that balance is very important for everybody who is blessed with who is blessed with a child with Down syndrome, that there should be a mix of therapy as well as a lot of fun and a lot of interaction, because as we all know that people with Down syndrome are extremely social and they learn through imitation. They are great visual learners, most of them. So they look and learn. So yes, coming back to the presentation. My daughter was just 18 months. And of course, I was just still gathering myself. I was researching a lot about, how to keep on giving more inputs to my child to make her reach to the highest potential, and whatever was needed. I didn't want to miss anything. I didn't want any stone unturned. So I visited the World Down Syndrome Congress, which was in Chennai, that time in 2015 when my daughter was just 18 months old. And it was an eye-opener, because there is what I see, which I had never seen before. I saw people with Down syndrome becoming teachers. I saw people with Down syndrome writing books. So that was an eye-opener. I saw people with Down syndrome speaking at the TEDx. So that was an out-of-the-world experience, because that is when I realized that they are extremely capable individuals. It's all about the opportunities they get. So that is how this information, just blew me away, and I had a completely different perspective. And coming back to Bangalore, I started off a small group of Bangalore Humsafar, which is called Bangalore Humsafar, since I'm from Bangalore. So I had a connection with 5 of the parents whom we all used to go to therapies together and, classes together. So we were in touch. So I just added them, and we started a support group wherein I wanted to share this information, this amazing information, which I had never heard before, that they are extremely capable and they can just do as good as anybody in this world if they're given the right opportunities and the right interventions. So I started off with 5 people, and that's how, after that, it grew to 250 parents in a span of 5 years. And today we have more than 375 parents in that support group, which are just unconditionally there for each other. And we have an age group of, this is the biggest support group because it is so unconditional. We have children of parents who are just newborn, to also a parent who has a son or a daughter who is blessed with Down syndrome and is of 45 years of age. So imagine the spectrum of wisdom there in that group. So that's the unconditional support which we have in that Bangalore Humsafar group, which is now called Karnataka Humsafar. And yes, after that I studied special education because, like I mentioned, I was continuously in need as my child was growing, the needs were different. So I wanted to understand what all was coming up. So I thought understanding her condition and special education would really help. And believe me, that's the best experience and the best decision which I took in my life. And I would recommend every parent to do a course on special education. And now we have a Down syndrome course also. If at all you're blessed with a person with Down syndrome, you should really go for the course because it has everything which is needed to raise a person with Down syndrome. Yes, after that, I also happened to publish, an educational toolkit, which is recognized with the International Education Department of Rehabilitation in the International Disability Day. So yeah, that I made, and so there was a team of special educators along with whom we designed an educational toolkit, which is like a standardized toolkit, and it is very well researched exclusively for people with Down syndrome, that it really helps in early years because they are pretty visual, and it helps in developing the processing skills of persons with Down syndrome. And it has skills. It works on skills of developing emotional skills, reading skills, comprehension skills, processing skills, visual processing and tracking, and all of that combined. We have tried to make a comprehensive toolkit which really helps in their development, overall development. Yeah, and after that, in 2017, that was the time where we did one of the biggest event for persons with Down syndrome, which is the biggest support which we realized that people with Down syndrome, the parents, the families would really be helped. And that is how we had this first ever meet in Bangalore. It was a very casual meet, which was organized for 92 families. It was 92 families from people all across India had joined us. And after that, there was no looking back. After that, the Down Syndrome Federation of India has been organizing regular conferences every year, which is the biggest support for persons with Down syndrome and their families, and where people connect, interact, create bond, and then they are friends forever. And it is a bond to cherish for life. And that is how the support group is so strong now. And it has a huge reach. Every year, the conferences happen every year at different places. The Down Syndrome Federation of India tries to, organize these conferences in remote places where there is less awareness, so that the people get empowered there more. And, the support group is created in that particular place. And also the entire country is united. The entire country of families blessed with Down syndrome unite there. So it is a win-win situation for both. So these kind of conferences really help as a very, very strong support. Yeah, and the next vertical, which I'm very passionate about, is regular medical camps, which Dr. Rupa mentioned, that, the medical aspect, if it is taken care of, it really solves the major aspect for persons with Down syndrome in supporting them. So we try to collaborate with different hospitals. As of now, we collaborate with Rainbow Hospital, Cloud9 Hospital, and next we are planning with Manipal Hospital as well to have regular camps for people with Down syndrome, wherein everything is at one stop. So it is like a one-stop solution, wherein we try to organize all the crucial concerns and all the experts who are needed for dealing with persons with Down syndrome's medical aspect. So be it ophthalmologist, be it endocrinologist, or be it pediatrician. So we have it all together in one roof as a team. They all try to support unconditionally, and we try and see around 30 to 40 children in one day. So that we reach out to maximum people, and that information helps them for some time, for at least 6 months. So every 6 months we recommend the checkups. Yes, and like I mentioned, the Down syndrome course, which was not there, it is this, we have it now since the year 2019. It is the first formal course which I would recommend every person, every parent or anybody who is interested in working with persons with Down syndrome to do the course on Down syndrome, which we do it every year along, which is a 6 months course, which has everything to raise a person with Down syndrome. And this is exclusively for the Indian population. This is the only course which we have in India, which is according to the Indian population. It is designed according to the Indian population, and the experts, there are 22 experts who are part of this course, and they share their knowledge. They are the most senior experts who would have seen more than 500 persons with Down syndrome are part of this course. So this is the best gift you can give yourself, to be informed about Down syndrome. Yes, these are the various webinars which I had done during the COVID times. That is how I try to support. And then after COVID, it was like a blessing in disguise that this online course, we tried to put it all across the world. And so now anybody who wants to take a course on Down syndrome can join from any part of the world. Earlier, it was offline and only restricted to the Bangalore population because it was an offline course. But now anybody from any part of the world can join and learn all about Down syndrome. Yes, and after that, we had, like I mentioned, we did online medical camps also because of the COVID, which again, we could reach out to different children across the globe. And yes, now after that, I actually started the social enterprise called Happiness is Khushi, which has an absolute clear vision to empower as many people across the world who are directly or indirectly related to the differently abled community. And by now, you all know the reason. That my reason is my beautiful daughter, my biggest teacher of my life, which is Khushi. And today, because of all the early intervention, which I mentioned, and a great support system, and all the interventions which we were blessed to receive being in Bangalore, I think we are in the best city, which is much more aware and having the best facilities for persons with Down syndrome, and very, very inclusive. She is today anchoring also, and she goes to a regular school. She is a swimmer. She has won public speaking competitions. She cycles well. And she reads fluently, and she is almost at par with the regular, with her class. So that's about my daughter, and she inspires me every day. You can see through. Yes, and like I mentioned, Happiness is Khushi has 3 dynamic verticals. Number 1 is, and the most crucial, is educational training for persons with intellectual disability and their caregivers, and the parents and educators. Number 2 is doing pageants, events, talent shows, which is so much needed for the support which they have and for their overall development, which very few people give those platforms. So we try to give as many platforms of through talent shows, through pageants. And the third, which I already mentioned, is medical camps. And the most beautiful one is the Friends Forever support, which is a huge, huge support for the adolescents from the beginning of adolescence. That is when they start feeling lonely, I feel, because of a lot of changes in their body, and there is a little bit of mental age gap as well. So that is when we see the Friends Forever initiative, which we have done, is giving a friend, fostering friendships among people with Down syndrome, really, really helps them to have friends for life and to balance their social and emotional development. So yeah, and after that, we did a lot of courses in communication skills, which is the top of my list for life skill. So if you're looking at a life skill, for developing a life skill for persons with Down syndrome, the communication skill is the most important, right? So for that, we've developed a course on a 6 months course, wherein we teach different strategies of communication skills. And there are these experts there. We have speech therapists, we have occupational therapists, we have early intervention therapists, we have psychologists who are part of this particular course, who share different strategies and different case studies through which any parent or any educator who joins the course feels empowered and to work with persons with Down syndrome. And then, we see a lot of children with Down syndrome having a lot of speech clarity issues. So we've started off sing-along programs, the shlokas, a lot of shlokas, which have really a lot of tongue twisters are there in those shlokas. So we try to train them and try to improve the clarity through these programs, which we do. Then we have Ganit, because, the standard classroom style is really not very convenient, I would say, and are not very interesting for our persons to use a better language. So we give different strategies in these kind of courses, which we do for mathematics, which is called Ganit. Then we have a magical science program. We actually launched this because a lot of people used to feel, and it was a surprise for me to see that special schools don't have science subject at all, which was a shocker to me. And that is how we started a magical science program, wherein we had hands-on experiential learning, wherein the children with Down syndrome do the presentations, do this, do the experiment, and have gone to their schools and demonstrated those, experiments and actually shown those concepts through their experiments. So it's all about opportunities. It's all about, acceptance and, accepting that they are capable people and they're intelligent people. Just give them the opportunity and they do it. Just give them the right method according to their understanding, and they would thrive there. So this is one of the programs which we've done. Friends Forever initiative I just spoke about. Look at the beautiful friendship which we created. We had online, offline, everything, and it's working wonders. And as of now, we have given 60 persons with Down syndrome friendships forever. They can just call and they can just talk. It's not only the mom and dad, there is another friend apart from them who are also like a biggest support for them. Yes, and drama. Drama is something which is so important. It's actually a life skill for everybody with persons with Down syndrome, because we know that their understanding is much higher than their expression. So if we do drama courses, if we introduce drama workshops, we can work on their expressions to an amazing limit, and their communication skills become much better. So we do a lot of drama events, and we have different plays also, wherein we, and now you can see there's so many movies coming up in Bollywood as well, wherein children with Down syndrome are being taken. So that's an amazing outcome of all these workshops and all this awareness that they are pretty good actors. And if you see abroad, there has been an Oscar winner also who has been a person with Down syndrome. Yes, and like I mentioned, we had a pageant.
We also need time for question and answers.
Sorry, yeah, that's all. So so pageants, the pageants, I spoke about these pageants, and I spoke about the fashion shows. So these are all the ramp walks which we did for NI with NID. So my thing is on, be inclusive, collaborate with regular organizations. So to spread more inclusion so that people can be accepted more, and there is much more awareness in a larger way. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. You and Khushi both are an inspiration for all the mothers and children who are diagnosed with Down syndrome. So it's really inspiring, and we should actually spread the word so that people are more and more aware of the situation and they have to work towards it.
Absolutely.
But I want to ask you, so there are children who were not very lucky to get early intervention at a very early stage. So once if they come to you in their teens, so how do you start with them? How do you start intervening, or what are the skills that you look, or how do you proceed with those children? Giving learning like emotional and their academic skill. Many a times parents concern is वो उसको पढ़ता है लेकिन याद नहीं रहता है. So this is their concern. Their concern is not कि वो he is not mixing with the other children, but their concern is पढ़ता है याद नहीं रहता है, स्कूल जाता है याद नहीं रहता है. So how do you approach for such a child?
So first of all, the first question which you asked me, how do you approach a teenager who doesn't come to me at an early age? So the first thing I would say, just accept them and give them as much respect as I give to you right now. I would give the same amount of respect to that person when I'm talking to them. Only then they are going to open to me. If I'm going to judge them, and if I'm just going to be in instruction mode, they are just going to shut off. So my strategy is becoming a friend, a rapport building of friendship. I first become a friend of theirs. You know, I just have very patient listening. And I would, you know, I would see this, whatever visible skills, whatever positive, positive skills which I noticed on them, I would keep reinforcing. Oh, oh, that's a beautiful line which you said. Oh, you have such a beautiful smile. I would just keep on reiterating. And, I would just use words like, it's such a pleasure to have you. And if they didn't come for the session the next time, I would say, oh, we really missed you so much. So it's all about, and I genuinely mean that. I genuinely mean it. You have to, because otherwise they can sense it very easily. They have a strong intuitive ability. So you have to be really genuine and have to be a very, very patient listener, I would say, and, become a friend of theirs. And then you will see, they just call me anytime. They just call me anytime. And I'm just so happy that, they can call me for any time. That's how they open up. Otherwise, it doesn't work, is what so for the parents also, I would say, try to be just like a friend to them. Don't judge them, don't instruct them, and talk more about, I would talk more, I would not ask them more. What I would do is, I was facing this, I was so low today. Today I had such a bad day, that movie was so boring. Have you seen that movie? So they get so much interested and they would want to see that movie. So that's how I would engage them, sharing my own experience. I would not question them, but I would involve them with my own experience, which will trigger them to, okay, oh, she did it. Let me also try that. So that's how they would open up. And I would not ask them, how was your day today? Why did you get, low marks? So I would say, was it a fun day today or was it a dull day? So, if you just ask, how was school today? It's so boring for them to hear the same question all the time. So I would make it a little more fun and ask them, did you enjoy your day today, Kushi? My daughter, if I have to ask her, I used to earlier ask her, what did you do in maths? What did you do in science? All that. She would just shut off and go off to sleep. Mama, it's, I'm very tired. The moment I ask Mama, I would ask her, oh, did you enjoy today? Was it fun today? And she would be so much interested in opening up. So it's all about how interesting the way you approach them. And of course, like I mentioned, huge respect to them.
Dr. Rupa, please, I want to ask that, as we all know, the physical and cognitive development in each child is different. And it was very heartwarming to see the children in your video who had an excellent support system. But sometimes we also meet few parents who struggle in getting through each of the milestones because of hypotonicity. But what parameters should we suggest the parents to focus more on for their adolescent age, like cognitive development and all?
So, by the time a child is already an adolescent, the parents, even if they don't have resources, they've done the rounds of doctors, they've done the rounds of some therapists, there is burnout because they've been looking after the child for a while. They've been probably listening to some discouraging feedback about what their child can't do every single day, right? So at adolescence, very often parents and children have maxed out when it comes to intervention. So doing more of the therapies that you once recommended to them when they are children, the OT and the PT, now starts to sort of wear itself off in terms of how efficacious it is. So what then one needs to also look at is all of these children aspire to be like every other child that they're seeing around them. So if they're seeing in their neighborhood that other children are playing, cycling outside, or they're playing football, or they're having fun with each other, these children have the same aspirations to be part of activities like that. And it's important, even when you don't have financial resources, to look at community based resources that families can still access. You'd be surprised that there are very resourceful parents who may not be very well off financially, but they have figured out the system in terms of what are the services that are available in different organizations, which are the organizations that offer you support, what can you get out of the UDID card, how can you maximize the benefits out of it, how can I use it for travel because my child likes to travel. So, in short, what I'm saying is that in addition to all the therapies that you might have offered when the child was younger, life itself can be a biggest feature for these children for the cognitive development. The more social exposure they have, the more exposure to experiences that they have, the better it is. And in fact, this is also the time that we start talking about looking at regular physical activities as a placeholder instead of just focusing on therapies, because some of the hypotonia is not going to go away. But what you want for the child is to have a functional life where the child has the energy, the child has the muscle strength to do everyday activities. And the focus should be on that, how to make those things happen. And sometimes they can even happen very well outside of therapy setting, when they can, join a physical activity class, they can go for sports in school, etc. And the other thing that I wanted to mention to Shilpa's question, if I may, just very briefly, I agree with everything that Tejal said in terms of adopting a strengths-based approach. But I'm also going to say that sometimes children don't seem to retain what they have learned because the classroom that they are in, or the curriculum that they are exposed to, is not in sync with what their skill sets are. So if a child is intellectually more at a 6 or a 7-year level, and the child is in a classroom with other 10-year-olds or 11-year-olds learning a fourth, fifth, sixth grade curriculum, the child is going to feel lost. And very often this recognition is not there, that there is a vast difference between what the child can do and what the classroom is teaching. And there is no bridge in between also to make it accessible for the child. You saw that mother, how she was making learning accessible to him by giving him different options. But when children don't have access to that, again, it may seem like they're going to the school, not learning anything, or, they seem to have learned, but they're not retaining. So again, looking at, is the school option right for the child? What are they doing in everyday life? How is the family doing? What's the caregiver's mental health status? Are they thriving well as a family? All of this is important at this age, and this can contribute to cognitive intelligence.
Ma'am, can you also just list down what are the tests that the children with Down syndrome need to be done regularly? So,
I talk about the same ones. Okay, we talked about growth. We talked about annual CBC monitoring to look at also whether they are iron deficient, not just for anemia, but it also has implications for their sleep disturbance. Looking at annual audiological and vision assessment. Thyroid, again, is something that can easily get missed because anyway the children have low tone, there is already cognitive difficulties, may not get picked up. So again, need to look at that. So these are things that one needs to do annually. And if the child has autoantibodies to thyroid, do it even more often, every 6 months.
So if a child's thyroid has come normal, they still need to do this test
annually.
Annually.
So, Ms. Sejal, what life skills or vocational training programs would you suggest if we want to help explore the adolescent, prepare for their adulthood?
So, luckily we are at a time there are so many options now available for vocational training, life skill training. So I would say first we need to explore what the child's interests are. If the child's interest is cooking, there are so many baking vocational training. If the child interest is computer, there is so much of happening. There is such amazing training happening in terms of design, graphic design, arts. So that kind of training. So it really depends on the child's interest. That these vocational trainings can be introduced. So many children are great in handicrafts. So there is so much training happening in terms of handicrafts and different design bags and so much they are making. There is even one social enterprise who is using the artists' paintings to develop their products and selling it to corporates. So that level of training is also happening, which is actually giving them employment opportunities. So their options are huge. Depends on the level the child is, the cognition the child has attained, and accordingly we would suggest to them. But these are, I would really encourage many of them to explore these once they reach their adolescence. And if they have fulfilled the basic life skills, which is, of course, the personal hygiene, they should be they should be self-sufficient in terms of self-care. They should be independent in their life skills. So all that needs to be achieved, so there are different levels to it. And then, of course, the communication skills, that needs to be on the top of priority, because if you're stuck in some of the work and if you need help, the person should have that communication to reach out for help. So that level of communication skills that training needs to be given to that child. So I would say, depending on the level of child, like I reiterated, we would suggest the vocational trainings.
Do you mean to say it's not about the age, but it's about the efficiency when the child has attained the normal taking care of himself, so he can go opt for these life skills, future life for his future, right?
Yes, so it depends. Yeah, exactly. Like it has to be like the basics, life skills, the personal hygiene, the communication skills, the defense mechanism. All this has to be in place, in sync. Only then you can introduce that person to employment opportunities. Otherwise, it'll be a big gap, and that child would just come back, right? They would not be, they might not go really far. It might just, they might just withdraw, because if they are stuck somewhere and there is no help, and if they are not trained to that level of employment, then it'll just backfire to them, right? So we need to go step by step. All these skills need to be at place. Only then you can suggest them to different higher level of vocational training and employment opportunities.
Chitra ma'am, do you want to ask any question? Dr. Rupa ma'am, so we always see that, as we saw in the videos also, the Down's children are usually happy. So do they also have mental health issues?
Yes, they do. And one of the things that very often gets missed in children with Down syndrome is coexistent autism. It is there in 15% of the children, but because we have this idea of their phenotype, that they are very social, especially in the younger years, it may get missed. The second thing, of course, is we talked very briefly about how in adolescence, This is the first time that you may come across mental health issues. Anyway, adolescence is the time when there is more prevalence of co-occurring conditions, mental health conditions. So yes, depression, anxiety could very well be a possibility, and one needs to have a high index of suspicion. So two very simple questions that one can ask in practice. You can ask the caregiver, or you can even ask the child directly. This is part of a checklist called THQ2. In fact, it is a screening questionnaire that's used in field settings, where you ask, do you feel overwhelmed, depressed, anxious, and have you been feeling that way for the last 2 weeks at least? The second question is, have you lost interest in some of the activities that you would enjoy doing in the past, and have you stopped doing, especially in the last 2 weeks? So if either of these questions are answered in the affirmative, at least it raises your index of suspicion. Of course, you will combine that with other histories that you get from the parents, that the child seems more listless, not interested in anything, or is having mood swings for the last many weeks, is not doing some of the activities that they did so willingly earlier. So you'll have to combine all of those pieces. But when you hear something like that, it's important to make note of that. And I think we are now blessed with lots of developmental pediatricians across the city. In that sense, Navi Mumbai is quite blessed. So have enough and more resources around you to make a referral.
Also, Rupa ma'am, can you tell me how about to helping these adolescents or young adults to have a meaningful relationship, relationship or marriage? So how to do they have feelings for similar as normal adults have?
Yes, they do. And in fact, that's one of the things that when it comes to children with disability, we either infantilize them, where we either think that they do not have any sexual urge, or many times people think of people with disabilities as being hypersexual, that they are overly interested. The reality is somewhere in the middle, that they have sexual urge the same way that anybody else does. And in fact, even though their cognitive development may lag behind, the physical development as far as puberty is probably going to be pretty much on time. So you will see some of the physical changes anyway. So I think first and foremost, it's important to talk about safety right from the beginning. And like I said, the conversation doesn't begin in puberty. It begins around the time that you're teaching your child body parts. When you're teaching them body parts, do not skip the genitalia. Talk about the genitalia, name them, names that adults use and not names that nobody would understand, that only you and your child understand, because again, that's setting them up for a situation where if they're exposed to some unsafe experiences, that they don't know how to talk about it. So talking about labeling their body parts, talking about what is safe touch, unsafe touch begins very, very early on. And that's part of sexual education. So that doesn't begin in puberty. And as you said, how do we help them build those relationships? I think just like you allow other neurotypical individuals to have opportunities to meet other people, I think when children with Down syndrome and young people with Down syndrome have the same social opportunities, that they get to attend weddings, they get to attend birthday parties, they go to your building function when there is Ganpati happening, they get to perform. Those are the places that we meet people that we are interested in, right? And for many of our children, even though I know I see all of you smiling, this is far from reality. They are often kept in their homes. Families don't step out because they are so stigmatized. So in such a situation, suddenly in adulthood, how are young people going to suddenly, form any kind of relationship, right? And to answer your question, do they have relationships with the opposite sex? Yes, we have enough and more stories from all around the world, including India, and they have a right to companionship as much as all of us do. Even with their disability. So I think this is a conversation that we need to have with families about how, yes, this is their right, but then how do we also ensure safety while ensuring that they get to have as many typical life experiences as possible? How to take care of their safety and at the same time give them these opportunities to interact with people, meet with people, be friends.
Ma'am, also one more. UDID card, you mentioned the UDID card. So many of the children, they have the UDID card made, but the benefits they don't know. They are not explained or they are not aware of it. So is there any one resource where they can actually go and get all the information of what all information from where to what all facilities are actually available for them?
Absolutely. So there are many barriers, right? Barrier number one is people don't get the UDID card made only because filling up the form daunts them. They don't have an Aadhaar card. So many times the card only doesn't get made. When the card gets made, they don't know how to use it. So I spoke about the Family Resource Center very briefly on the last slide. So the Family Resource Center is a unit at Umeed which is run by families for families. And they run a regular online workshop called Know Your Rights in Hindi, which they co-run along with other parents, where they talk about all the rights of persons with disabilities, how the UDID card helps, and the parent actually shares experiences of how they have used it in their life. How have they used it in school? How have they used it at the bus stop to get concessions for travel, or at the railway station to get concessions for train tickets? So they give real life experiences like that. And what are some hacks that they have used sometimes to use the card effectively? And this is free of cost. It's done every month. So very happy to share a flyer or something if that would help.
That would be really helpful. But ma'am, it is done on the first week, somewhere on the first.
So there are two support groups that we run for parents. One is in the first week, one is in the third week of each month, Saturday. That is different, but this is in addition to that. It's a rights-based program, specifically only talks about UDID card, and we run a camp, and this may be something that many of us can do, where on a designated day people come to a center where somebody actually helps them upload their details on the Swavlambhan website and to get the UDID card made, because sometimes parents find that process daunting, how to fill up an online form. So if there is somebody who can help them with that, and you could do that once a month, once in 3 months even, get all the families together and do this as a camp. For those who are struggling to make the card. I'm happy to share details of the workshop anyway. And since it's online, anybody can join from it.
Sure, ma'am. Yeah. Dr. Chitra, do you want to ask something?
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the screening of malignancies which we expect in them. So, is there any specific program about that?
Program or recommendation?
Yeah.
So I already spoke about doing the CBC. So anyway, the myeloproliferative conditions, you would have a higher index of suspicion for those in the younger age group. We spoke about screening for thyroid, but otherwise there is no routine recommendation for screening for malignancy unless and until you are picking up any specific symptoms.
Okay, thank
you. Nilima ma'am? Nilima ma'am?
Yes, Neha.
Yes, ma'am. You want to ask
Yeah.
something?
No, it was a wonderful session. I was just listening. And Dr. Tejal's story is so inspiring.
Thank you.
Definitely.
I'm
Yes.
seeing ma'am after so many years. I don't know whether she remembers. We have attended one workshop in Sion Hospital.
Yes.
It was with Pedicon.
Yes.
Long back.
Yes.
So I was with you in that workshop.
Yes,
That time,
of course
first time I
remember.
met you.
Yeah.
Yeah, had Dr. Tejal, she told her story and it is such an inspiring story. We really appreciate.
Thank you.
We really
Actually,
hope more such stories come out so that people would actually take their kids out to be more social and not just keep them inside, that they are not,
Right.
we cannot take them out because of the delays that they feel that the children have.
The child will only be a reflection of the parent. So if at all, the parent is just going to take it to really heart and just sit at home, then you will see that child's body language will tell you all. If the child is outgoing, you would look at the parent and you would immediately figure out, yes, that's the parent. So like you mentioned, they need to take them all out. Every single place I take my daughter, everywhere, even for conferences. If I'm speaking at a panel, she's just right there in the front seat, learning how I'm talking, because she loves to do public speaking. She does a little bit of anchoring as well. So she loves to enjoy all of that. The stage is what she loves. So I just try to expose her as much as possible to all these, discussions or any events which we have. And luckily, our organization is also into major event organizing and camps and so much happening. So she is the secretary of the phone calls. So she takes, she takes, the applications who want to enroll. She'll give all the, questionnaire. I've given a questionnaire to her, so she would ask all the questions. So that's how, everything needs to be done simultaneously. It's not only about education. It's not only about the day-to-day life. Along with that, we need to expose them to all the opportunities possible.
I saw a movie, Ahan, I think so last year, and it was a beautiful movie. And there the father was not so happy about the thing, but mother was very appreciative, and she used to ask her the son to help in the baking, and he delivering the things. And the neighbor who was not accepting the child earlier because he had severe OCD, later on he was his greatest friend, and he was the person who uplifted and started him in the society, and also brought his father in the screen for helping him.
That's
That-
amazing.
Yes, Vikas sir, you wanted to add?
yeah. So I remember when we first idea came that to have something new on this Down syndrome day, and we thought that to have not we should talk regarding the rehabilitation of Down's baby. So then I started researching what are the Down syndrome groups available in South. I got many numbers and started calling. So, and I directly bumped on Tejal ma'am's number, which is online. I was not knowing that was her number. So I just shared our idea. She was so happy. So she is available everywhere. Like she is available online, offline. She's so nice. Like she has actually Down syndrome just looking like a sugar, which is dissolved in the milk of life, her milk of life. So this is so inspiring. Like even I was just sharing a story that we were just took a darshan in Madurai, in Miri temple, where vendor was selling a flower. So the gajra, na, like a small flower string. So she does not just sold that small garland, but she was very peculiar that how it will look in my child or Sanjeevani's hair. So she personally came and she was involved. I thought that we just give the advice, but how much we are involved in our patients. So that is I was really inspired. Like we should not only just add, but we should get involved in what actually our parents or patients are doing. So then only I think success will come. Otherwise, just giving a blank advice and expect that the results will come is difficult, but it's really inspiring. Both Rupanam is really inspiring. She is so thorough in her knowledge. and it was really, I just enjoying my time listening both of you.
Thank you,
One
sir.
more thing I wanted to ask.
Yes.
Ek second. Dr. Rupa, do we, in support groups, do we offer psychological help to parents also? Because recently, one of the Down's child, which I'm seeing for, I think, 20 years now, the child has developed retinitis pigmentosa, and now blindness is there. So both the parents are now visibly depressed. Matlab, initially also I used to feel they need some support, and I had sent them also, but now it has become like you can't help ऐसे लगता है उनको. I feel helpless seeing them. So do these support groups help the parents also?
The support groups are for the parents. But this situation that you're talking about is quite unique and quite, different. So I think maybe putting them in touch with parents one-on-one who have had similar experiences, who have life experiences, it's not exactly the same having
Right.
retinitis pigmentosa versus visual impairment from the beginning. But even so, I can maybe text you privately and let you know about another parent in Panvel
Okay.
who
Okay.
has had, a daughter as well as a son, and one of them has visual impairment. So maybe
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
that could be of help to connect with a parent like that.
Sure. Right.
Also, support groups will not offer professional help. The support groups will
Correct.
have other parents who are sharing their lived experiences, and
Hmm.
sometimes, a lot of the times, that is therapeutic to listen to other people's experiences and what has helped them, and to have a space where they can even share what is going on in their lives, because nobody else understands, right? Others are not in the
Correct.
same boat. But at the same time, if somebody is clinically depressed, a support group alone is not going to help.
Yeah.
They
Not
do need
sufficient.
do need
Yes.
to see a
Very
therapist.
Right. True. Yeah. Thank you.
Great. I just wanted to add, about my story. I feel and my experience that inclusion is definitely the key to success. It's the way. Everywhere our children with Down syndrome need to be included. Only then they reach the top. That's what I've seen. That's why we see children abroad doing so much more, because inclusion is so real. Many of the other countries, of course, we are also stepping ahead towards that. But yeah, not very few schools still are very really inclusive. So we need to have inclusion in every school in the real sense. Because the child needs everything during their growing years. And in a special school, it is very limited exposure. So only if the child goes through that inclusive environment, he or she gets it all. And only then all these skills develop, emotional, cognitive, all of that. Otherwise, it becomes extremely difficult. It comes, but it is delayed. It is much more delayed. And that is how we lose out the initial years. So let's all strive, I feel. I mean, that's why I always believe in collaborating with the regular organizations. If you see my work, it is more with the regular organizations like the national level organizations, be it NID, be it the multinational organization PayPal. All these are regular mainstream organizations, because they are the people who would look at our children and understand, if they spend more time, they understand that they are intelligent people, and then the perspective changes, and that's how they start getting included, and then everything happens for the best for our children. So that's my major goal, and I would keep working towards it throughout my life, and I just urge everybody to do their bit. Thank you so much.
So I think so, Shilpa, we have
Conclude the session.
yeah.
So it was a wonderful session. I hope it reaches a lot of people and it is helpful to most of the many of the parents who are still into the phase of acceptance and start working. Every step towards working, every step taken positively will help the child in some way or the other, I feel. So thank you so much, Rupa ma'am, Ms. Tejal, for the wonderful session. Thank you so much, Dr. Vikas sir, Dr. Sunita Ingle ma'am, for joining. I will also thank Dr. Chitra Kulkarni ma'am, Dr. Nilima Bhandarkar ma'am, Dr. Neha for co-hosting it with me and making me a part of this program and conducting this session successfully. Also would like to thank Dr. Vishal sir for
the technical support. And we thank all the members from IIP Raigarh
who have joined
for supporting and this session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rupa madam. Thank you so much, Tejal madam. And
Thank you.
Neha,
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Shilpa.
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
please, we'll be troubling you.